All set?
Yes.
Okay. June 20, 2022 board meeting. Members from Albany County, Bill Connors. Lucy McKnight, not here. Kristen Swinton, not here.
She's right here.
Oh, geez, sorry. I didn't see you down there. Apologize. Thank you. Welcome. Rensselaer County, Laura Bauer here, Scott Bendet. Saratoga County, Susan Costanzo. And Craig Warner. Schenectady County, Barbara Morrow, Samantha Miller Herrera, unable to make it today. All right, we have our agenda. Thanks, Mark, for sending out the packet. One note on the agenda sheet is the next meeting date is September the 21st.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we also have Berkshire here today, so. All right. Right to item number 2, and that's the minutes of the May 18 and the June 22nd meeting. Any comments, questions? Concerns? Okay, there's a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Right. A second, please.
No second.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to item number 3, financial statements through June 30, 2022. That's memo 22-15 in your packet.
Okay. Revenues are tracking under because we have not yet have developed a rate for Q2. We're still trying to settle up the finances for Q2, waiting on the lovely ladies in the finance office to send us the final numbers. We're tracking slightly under on expenses. We revised the budget, as you remember, back in March to accommodate the full staffing anticipated at Berkshire once we achieve that. So we're tracking under that on both the SD and SSD side. We did receive full payments for Q4 of 2021, so we can disperse to Berkshire on that. And the billings have been sent for Q1, but we're still waiting for payments to make ourselves whole for that before we send a check to Berkshire.
Questions for Mark? Need a motion to accept that report. Thank you, Bill. Second. Thank you, Craig. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And my item number 4 is RTA capital project and cost estimate update. That's memo 22-16.
So a couple of updates since the last time we talked about this at our May meeting. At the end of June, the final or the design development package was delivered to Gilbane. Or no, I'm sorry. That was the, I think, 50% design. So at the end of this month, the full design package will be sent to the construction managers so that they could begin the bidding process for the work. The revised cost estimate, which came in after our last meeting in May, increased the project cost from originally what we had thought was going to be around $11 million. Then we thought it was going to be $15 million, but the revised is $19 million, including all the site work. In your packet is an articulation from the cost estimator about why the changes or why the increase in costs based on the original assumptions versus the final assumptions at the end of design development. There were certain assumptions or certain things that were not considered in the initial cost estimate and additional expenses, like just a couple examples. Having to construct a subterranean footing system for the secure exterior fence line, which substantially increases the cost of replacing the fence. The full replacement of the driveway and stormwater system underneath the driveway, replacing of some of the older HVAC system elements, and there are a variety of other design assumptions that were not factored into the original cost estimate. In addition, there are supply chain issues that are driving up commodity prices and labor prices are going up and things like that. So all those changes are reflected in the increase in cost. The increased cost estimate was sent to OCFS for them to send to DOB. DOB originally approved $15 million. After a couple follow-up emails with OCFS, we still have not received 100% confirmation that DOB is good with the additional cost estimates. But again, we're not adding any crystal chandeliers here. We're just doing the absolute bare minimum, what we need to do to meet the regs. So we don't anticipate that there's going to be a problem with that. OCFS also sent around the cost share, which I sent to everyone via email. So they, through some methodology, which remains slightly opaque to me, identified 89% of the total project as raise the age eligible and 11% non-raise the age eligible. Typically for non-raise the age cost, just general local detention costs, there's a 51% local share and 49% state share. So when I originally presented this to the board, I thought the 11% was going to be split up by that 49 and 51%. But actually the 11% is the net local share of the project costs. So it's just an 11% match. We will need to get some clarity on that as we're approaching. I believe today DASNY will have this project on their board calendar for approving, letting the financing or whatever they have 2 meetings to approve the financing. One, the board approves them shopping around the project for bonding. The second meeting, they actually approve the bonding and secure the financing. So this question is very timely for them because they need to be able to explain to their board how this is going to work. So the bottom line is DASNY is going to bond 100% of the project costs. And then there's going to be some mechanism for the counties to give their cost share. That actual mechanism has not been identified yet. But in your packet, you'll see the cost share obligations based on a $19 million budget for each of the counties. As you'll note, there's a lot of spreadsheets, essentially narrative explanations. But the cost share allocation should be.
There's someone.
What's that?
There's someone in the waiting.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Barbara.
Morning, Barbara.
Hey, Barbara. All right. So this one is the second to last accompanying attachment of this memo. So it looks like this. And that basically just shows a summary of the final cost estimate, at least the one that we have now. And then the raise the age portion of the project and the non-raise the age portion of the project at the bottom. So the good news is on the $19 million project, $16.7 million are raise the age and only $2 million are not raise the age. So then based on the $19 million budget, you'll see the obligations of each county on the bottom line. So 1.2 million for Albany, 330,000 for Rensselaer and Schenectady, and 165,000 for Saratoga. So I know Albany County had in 2018 or 2019 issued a bond for $6 million for this project, so they can fund their portion of the $1.2 million because they have the financing. What I've asked OCFS and the Dormitory Authority what we need to figure out is how the other counties can pay the state their share. Will it happen in tranches? So are they making quarterly payments? Are they making annual payments over the course of the loan? We don't know how that's going to look. But if it's, I think some of the counties may want the option of just paying a lump sum right out of the gate and not have to worry about tracking this project for the next 15 years. Because, I think, and I have to confirm this, but I don't think it's unreasonable for a county to have to spend cash, $330,000 in cash one time. It's much more reasonable to separate that payment out over the course of several years, but I wouldn't want to have to track it for 15 years for the loan, for the term of the financing. So that's sort of the details that remain to be seen about the project, but overall, that's not a bad deal for the counties to get these expansion and improvements of that facility and only have to cost about $2 million, which for reference is it's probably about 150% of the cost to replace the roof a couple years ago. So. So that's one element of it. We continue to have the bi-weekly calls with the project team, including Berkshire, Albany County Sheriff's Office, and SMRT. We are still working through our matrices of approvals. We haven't heard anything back from SMRT recently. They're taking the lead on the environmental review documents, the seeker environmental assessment form. And that's basically where we stand now. I believe, as I mentioned, DASNY is having a meeting to review the project and to authorize them to seek financing for it today. And our bond counsel is actively working with lawyers at DASNY to craft intermunicipal agreements that articulate each county's cost share. These bottom line numbers and how the counties will be obligated to pay that. And if one county defaults or whatever, all the legalese that they would have to do that. So that's going to be sort of a side agreement. Albany County, again, has agreed to be the sole obligor for the purchase of this financing, but Albany County wants the assurance that the other counties are aware of their cost share and are obligated to pay what they're going to owe based on the 11% aggregate local match. That all makes sense. I don't know. It's a lot of words. Any questions on that?
Thank you, Mark.
Mhm.
Moving on to item number 5, then facility director recruitment plan memo. It's memo 2217 in your packet.
Turn it over to Luke.
Sure. Fortunately for Smith, Stevie is going to be moving out from the facility. Fortunately for another sector, he will be joining, I'm sure. We want to thank him for his past 2 years of helping to move this facility forward from a correctional model to a much more therapeutic model. We made a lot of strides. He did come in the worst time in the nation's history to the facility, and he did a great job. So I do want to thank you very much. In talking with Joe, he has agreed at the point to stay on as we search for a new director. We have developed a relationship with the Marine Recruiting Group. We've used them in Berkshire for several other higher level positions. So we are working with them now. They are recruiting actively for this position. I have had one interview and I have 3 more scheduled. So they are doing a great job in bringing candidates so that we can get somebody on. Obviously, when we find a candidate that we like, talk to Mark and we'll figure out how we want to go forward with
Sure.
interviewing that. But in the meantime, Joe is staying on. Also, our consultant Fruit Mountain, who has a long history of OCFS and has helped us with a lot of other transitions, is staying on to also assist with day-to-day. And then when we transition to a new director, Mr. Mountain will stay to continue to help that director, the new director, be able to move into the position smoothly and keep the programming going that we have. So we're confident Marine has been a great recruiting source in this really difficult time for us. So we're confident we're going to find something. Whatever, any questions?
How's the quality of the candidates do you have?
So the first one I interviewed, she was okay. She was, but I did say I wanted a deeper pool on the interview. And then I'm having tomorrow is with the gentleman who was the assistant director for Cook County. So they're trying to broaden their search to find a little bit deeper candidates.
I was going to ask you how broad they were going national search.
Yeah, the Moraine, even though they're based primarily in the New England area, they do have connections all over.
Okay.
So I will update as soon as we have.
Thank you.
And in the event Joe, has something come up, he needs to step away. Mr. Malik has agreed to step in with me to keep the facility running smoothly while we are searching. But hopefully we'll find something fast that we can transition that to smoothly.
Well, thank you. Joe, sorry to see you step away. We certainly appreciate all that you did. And I know you go from, you sprinkle your knowledge and expertise across the system. I don't know what you're gonna do next, but
I'm not sure.
okay.
Not that.
Not that.
Not that.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
No more
All right.
24/7.
Okay.
When I clock out, I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, I'd just like to thank you, Joe. We've developed quite a relationship over the course of the last couple of years, late night phone calls, bitch sessions. I don't know how you did it, but I'm really pleased that you were there when the shit hit the fan at the facility multiple times. Gave me a good peace of mind that things were being done properly and that, things were being done in the best interest of the youth and the facility at large. So appreciate that, Joe. Would have been much more challenging if somebody else was in the role. And, my thanks to you have a bottle of olive oil to show for it.
Thank you, Mark, and the whole board. Thank you for your support. I think we've made great progress with the recent wage increases. We're getting better candidates. But Mark, your support has been wonderful working with you. And Luke too. Luke is, you have a lot on your plate. And I appreciate everything that you've done. It's been challenging 2 years. The most challenging in my career. I don't know if it's because I'm older or I don't know. But I think we did make some great progress. And, we check in, see how things are progressing. I still certainly have a commitment to it running well and functioning well. So I'll just kind of be looking from a more sideline perspective than in the battle. But thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, item number 6 in your packet, facility performance improvement plan update memo 22-18.
Which is fictitious because that was my mistake for leaving that in on the agenda. I misnumbered.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So that should.
Do you have any
I can-
updates
I
on
can
that?
give you an update.
Okay.
OCFS has cut back on the number of visits that they're doing because we're improving. We had a visit last Friday.
That's Friday.
Last Friday, all areas were in full compliance. All 3 areas that they've been examining are in full compliance as of their Friday set visit.
Thank you. All right, so the actual item here is the budget estimates.
Right.
Financial.
So the budget estimates, I typically provide these to the finance people in the county agencies that have to submit the budget request for next year. So the methodology simply just uses the actual use of last year and then divides up what our budgeted amounts are for each facility, SD and SSD. And then the quarterly totals are calculated from there. And the net annual cost is also calculated, netting out the raise the age portion of the expenses. So that's what that table looks like there. So no board action, just for your information.
Questions? Mark? Thank you. Now, item number 7, facility use. And 22-19.
Yeah, female intake still remains closed, although we did have a female in the facility in Q2. Another one of those situations. But you can see, now we're steady, having a higher AO population in the facility. The majority of the fixed population of the facility, I would say, were our AOs. They're staying for a long period of time. The turnover is a lot lower. There's still a fair amount of turnover in the younger population, but capacity in the entire system continues to remain very strained. So any placement sort of triggers a domino effect of things that need to fall into place to be able to place a youth.
Mark, do we foresee the female remaining closed until the expansion?
It's really a matter of staffing and predictable staffing levels. So how do you think we're doing on that?
The weekends we still struggle. We're having to mandate staff pushing back on that. So we're still having the time meeting those minimum levels. We're trying a different strategy when we request for overtime, that the minimum staffing levels are filled first before we go above, and see if we can get that to work. Encouraging folks to work on the weekends. That still has been.
Staffing
continuing.
issues.
Yeah.
So this situation in Albany, I don't know if everybody heard that Albany had a young woman, a serious offense where there was no beds, and the AO judge had committed her to Albany County Jail, and then her attorney appealed it. And they released her from, I think she was put in a facility once
Yeah.
I don't know how it became available, there's a bed available for her somehow.
Joe made it happen.
Yeah, we
brought
put her
in
in
some
our,
extra staff.
we put her in our room, yeah, 87-10 isolated room.
And we begged for some extra staff. to come in for the
Yeah.
weekend.
So that was all about staffing.
It was all staffing, yeah.
So anyway, so then the Supreme Court judge reversed the decision to detain her, and she released her with nothing.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot of jumping through hoops on, it always happens Friday
Friday at
afternoon.
4 o'clock.
Friday at 4
Yeah,
o'clock.
of course.
So always happens. So lots of, moving
So,
heaven and
like-
earth, and then she was let out the next day.
But this is a serious concern, obviously, for all of us here, these female beds, when these kids come into court and there's nowhere for these kids to go, and courts don't know what to do.
And it's across the state.
Yeah, I
There
know,
are
yeah.
additional female beds.
And Schenectady County has numerous times expressed to me their frustration because they have a significant need to place females.
Yes.
We can go into a conversation about the intersection between mental health and secure detention and the lack of mental health treatment programs and facilities, particularly inpatient. But there are definitely hard to place youth, whether you're male or female. And for whatever reason, the current system directs them to secure detention because nobody else can handle them, even though we all agree that that's not the appropriate place for them to be.
And also, I mean, we operate non-secure detention as well. Very sure.
So
And when they
what's
can't
our plan going forward? If it happens a few times, the same thing, or?
We're,
That happens all the time,
if we can,
every week.
that we made a lot of phone calls, we begged a lot of people, we got people in for that weekend, we knew we could only cover that weekend. It's gonna depend on who we have and then what we can do. And it's not something we could do on a continuous basis. We knew we had it set up for that weekend. But after that, we did not have it set up. We should go back to court.
It's really like a permanent ad hoc situation.
It is, we meet the minimum, we want to go over, and, we have a new union and staff, and then we're getting where OCFS will do unannounced visits and get us if we keep kids in their rooms too often. So we have to have safety, bring them out with the minimum staffing, and so to take that extra unit and staff that, it makes it very challenging. Because they complain, and if we can't bring them out of the room safely, we'll only have maybe 2 staff on the JDJO dorm. Fight breaks out, it's been very challenging, so we're trying to get to a level of staffing that is workable, where we can get youth out of the rooms. We've got to get out of the situation where they remain in the rooms too long, we're doing DVD players, and we have a rec specialist, so we are trying to keep them active as best as we can. But we have a staff that is used to kind of an older model of just kind of locking down. We want to introduce programming and get them out of the rooms, doing a lot of pressure. Both those get best in SCOC, and we want to do that. It's been a real challenge getting staff to come along and feel more comfortable about that. Fruit and Mickey and Bobby have been doing a great job of working with the staff because they took OCFS through such a transition, but we're still getting a lot of resistance. And we're getting there. We're getting the staff be more comfortable. They're seeing it a little bit more, and we're getting a little bit better at it. But we have it has still been a challenge to do that.
So I know how challenging this is. Calls come in to me all the time at night. What are we gonna do?
Mhm.
In this particular situation, there wasn't one female bed in New York State anywhere. For this youth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just running non-secure detention. That's when they don't go to secure, they come to
I said, put her in not secure, they didn't want to. So
Well, we did, and it's been very volatile, so trust me, running non-secure, if I can get female beds going, we will get female beds going, because they're much safer in secure detention for themselves and the community and the non-secure detention population. to
But
have
imagine
this.
that, there's not one female bed in the whole New York State available.
Yes,
Well, there was another incident before that with the hard to place youth. There was no beds for him either. He was just a male.
Yeah. And there were not one of its type, and I think that's why the ATM was released, allowing youth, AO youth to go to jail. if it's-
Didn't really have any.
Well.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Luke? I'm
Sure.
not sure if everyone here saw the memo. I didn't.
Sure, there was a statute change which allows a judge in the interest of justice to place an AOU in jail as long as there's sight and sound separation. And it has to be revisited. I don't remember the timeline, but it is a regular revisiting. with the
Right,
judge.
I think in this particular situation that the AO judge held that hearing and determined such, but it was immediately appealed and the Supreme Court judge did not feel that.
But that can be done now because we know that some of these youth, when there were no mail beds, if there was a youth that had to go in, they had to go somewhere.
So before this memo came out or this ruling came out, there needed to be a special hearing, you
Yes.
know. And the judge had to, I think, achieve a higher threshold to be able to detain the youth in the jail setting.
And I would imagine it causes significant issues for the jail too. Because it has to be separated and they have to, it causes all staffing issues for them also. And they would probably not want to take these kids if they don't have to.
No, definitely not. And still today, as of this morning, there are no people.
No female lives in the state.
Anything else on?
Well, congratulations to Saratoga County for having no youth in the facility for quarter two. Good job.
Okay. Moving on then to item number 8, facility operation agency report.
Anything else?
Well, one thing I do want to talk about, just so everybody's aware, because we've learned a lot in the past 2 years. We did have positive COVID. We immediately put in safeguards. We do have some staff who are also not able to come in due to exposures, but we are still able to successfully run the facility, keep it staffed. We have all of our, we've gone back to our COVID safeguards where everybody is fully masked at all times. That was removed in June where we did not no longer have to do that. But as soon as we had to, then we reverted back to that. That was our plan. And we have, just as a precaution, we are not doing visitation this week and we'll examine it next week. We talked to CFS, they're fine with that. Understanding our situation. So if this had happened 2 years ago, we would have been in that position where we had 80% of our staff out. Now we've been able to contain it rather quickly.
Good.
So we're down a few staff as a result, but not, we're still able to.
Luke, are staff required to wear a mask in the facility?
They were up until June 6th, in which the mask mandate was dropped. And so we put in the protocol that staff could wear masks if they wanted to, and kids if they wanted to. If we had any suspected or positive case, then we would immediately go back to our pre-levels where everyone had to mask up at all times with KN95 masks. When this event happened, we all staff now have to. I'm going to script today, so I got my KN95s already because we're not. Everybody has to wear them now until our medical director feels that we're past that point of exposure.
How would you think the staffing level is today compared with where it was, say, in April?
We, for the first time, we have all supervisor positions full. Our SDC2s, those are the response team and security. We have 6 of the 7 filled. Of our SDC3s, we have only 1 vacancy there. It's the SDC1s that we have 10 vacancies, both on the first and second shifts. Where those vacancies are, so we need to get those filled.
Yeah, because we have moved some people up to 2s, which is taken away. That's several of our full-time SD1s go to per diem status. You know, they're juggling multiple jobs. Everybody out there is offering bonuses here, bonuses there, so people are kind of moving around. But with a solid supervisor corps, that's where hoping is going to be the backbone when we get that trained up to keep staff and retain. So that's good.
And so what's the SD1 or the starting salary for that position?
$21.64 an hour. And then if they work 3 to 11, 11 to 7 on weekends, they get an additional $2 differential.
So comparatively to
Yeah.
other facilities in the area, we are well
Mhm.
above.
And that was, we were like at 14 something.
15.
15,
98.
98.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
that was a challenge.
Yeah.
Heading in the right direction.
Yes.
Any other things from the facility?
No, we have a rec specialist full-time, and he's been doing a great job of doing some structured activities that the youth have not experienced before. We have a lineage project that does this weekly program. They do mindfulness and yoga with the AOs, and the art program is beginning up again. It's an art and spoken word. The residents really enjoyed that. They painted a mural in the dining room, which looks great. I'm going to move on to the second phase of that. Next month it starts. Another.
Well, we had our second speaker in our speaker
Oh, yeah,
series,
speaker, yes,
which
that's
will bring
good.
individuals who have been through the system but are not successful coming in. His name's Chris Wilson. He was on Opal. He was really big, so he came in and talked to the youth.
He knows Elon Musk. He wants to go to.
That sounds
Yeah.
like a great program.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we have several of the speakers lined up over the next couple of months.
And there was a grant for that, right?
So yes, we did get a lot of the lineage projects and some of the things we talked about. The speaker series is actually a function of our marketing and department has pulled together a group of local individuals who are very interested in secure and how they can help support it. Because we know the most CFS money is not going to last forever, and how we can continue to support it. And they came up, they've been working on the speaker series.
Good idea.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions for Luke or Joe?
There was a question a couple weeks ago about the security system, camera system. Is that critical right now, or is that just limping along?
We're maintaining right now. We're experiencing phone challenges with the phone
Oh.
system again, where we put a ticket in for that. But yeah, they're not. There is some concern. They're not. Obviously, the quality is not great. That Explorer will be. And they can only run on Explorer, but we're looking into that. Our IT is looking into that.
Okay,
Yeah.
because you had like a hybrid system, because you had
Yes.
new cameras installed in a new system, but you're talking about the ones in the old system.
Yeah.
The old system are just, we pray every day that they're up and running and they've been okay. You know, we've had some things with the downloading them and exporting them that have been difficult, but we're trying to Band-Aid it as long as we can.
Mhm.
And that's what we discussed.
So
in the
your
meeting.
IT staff will be able to tell you whether or not you can convert the old wiring into a new system.
It's more the, the old way. Yeah, they should be able to do that. If that.
So, yeah, we
that's the, you know.
just the system. There's only one company around here that does it. And they have to get parts from the one company in Seattle that actually still makes parts for these types of computers. So that's why we asked to push the cameras to the top of the renovation, as far forward in the renovation as we can.
Any other business? Our next meeting is September 21, 2022. Motion to adjourn. Thanks, Phil. Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Enjoy the summer.
Good to see everyone. Good to see you, Barbara.
Thank you. Bob.